Testing, testing. Okay. There's the music. Okay, so today the overall plan is to finish the coast region, and I will add quicksand traps today, just to make it more interesting in the coast. And not quite sure what they'll do yet, but probably they will probably steal an item from you if you walk into them. Yeah. That's probably what they'll do. So, to the ASCII sprite idea split, no ASCII idea, I've come to believe that the ASCII is pretty vital, and so it'll stay in the game for now at least. And I'm utilizing the lowercase letters better. I've currently changed some of the letters, so spiders are now A for arachnids. The skeleton archer is just a different color. It's also an S. And all these small monsters are lowercase. So wolves are lowercase, kobolds are lowercase, and that clears up a lot of the problems I had with the assignment of the letters. So that's fine for now. I'll revisit that later. And another thing I did is I made some tiles have less of a direction in them. That makes sense. So the floor tiles. So if right here, for example, I mirrored the stone slabs so that they don't give you the idea of a fleeting perspective, because this is basically straight top down, and the ASCII is pretty good at allowing that perspective to be kind of realistic or make sense. And all these sprites, or most of the sprites, fight against that. So for example, the roots have a perspective, the tables have a perspective, this old stone has a perspective. So there's a fight between those. And of course the ASCII symbols also have that, but because they are purely symbols, I think it's not that bad. But for example, the tusk again denotes that down is the floor, which in this perspective is of course not the case. So anyways, I'm still working this out, but I adjusted some of the floor tiles. For example, these squiggly lines, just like the stone slabs, I mirrored them so that they don't imply a direction. And yeah, I'm looking into this as I go along. Hey Ethan, given head a shave, did you do the plunger test? Hey Lily, caught streaming time this time? Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I just talked about the ASCII sprite thing and how I changed some of the floor tiles to not imply a perspective. So yeah, but the task today is adding the quicksand traps. And let's go to the location where I want them at. So these are pretty large sand fields, and let me actually paint them in. I'm not sure if I have the sprite. Maybe something like this. So yeah. Well, they're really hard to see, but I mean, that's the point. So if you step into them, you'll lose an item. Not quite sure how I'll visualize that. Other than with the messages. Too busy to be chatting, so we'll just be listening till break in 30 minutes, alright. No worries. I used to shave my head for like 5 to 6 years, even I can grow for the head of hair. Used to stamp a plunger on my head to test if I shaved adequately. No, I just took a what's it called? A hair clipper. Didn't do a wet shave. That's just way too much work. A clean plunger, of course, just to clarify. That's good to know. So, I mean, the simplest way would be for the quicksand to just stun you for one turn, like the spiderwebs do. But having it steal items, I mean, I could just use the what the robbers do, in that it takes an item from your inventory and just throws it on a tile next to you. So if you're not careful, you could just lose stuff without noticing. That also doesn't seem that great. You can get those roll ones that you just glide around. Yeah, I've seen them. Great. Maybe I'll just start with the quicksand trapping you. And then I'll try the rest if I have time. Because I'll have to have them placed only in the coast, but I think that's actually not a big deal. Okay, I still have the sprite selected, so let's write that down. That is index 186, color is 19. And let's create the object. Close this, close this. spikes. Quicksand. And quicksand. So that's 186 and 19. Not sure what the actual color name is. Not that important. So this is quicksand. Well, I can't actually... Let's just leave this out because I don't know quite what it'll do. Health. Okay, that should be fine. And then let's spawn them. That is in path. Let's look for these spikes. Yeah. And okay, it is a problem. So I only distinguish between overworld and underworld spawns. But if I could replace all these spikes in the coast with the quicksand. Or the turrets. But I think the turrets are kind of universal. They're also much more fun, so they should be up here everywhere. But I can switch out these spikes. So it lands here. And if I is there a region check? Oh, it's in the groups. So I have these spawn groups that bundle together monsters. For example, there's a group camp, which is a kobold camp. And there's the kobold and the troll in there. But the traps are... yeah, they are different. So let's see, do I have the patch? Yeah. So this function goes over this function goes over every tile in a patch. of tiles and places stuff. And the traps come out of this, out of these two functions. So if it's not forest, if I got a spike trap and it's not the forest, then turn it into quicksand. So that's a really ugly solution, but I won't write something more complicated just for this one case. So let's see. It's not an equal sign. Okay. So they should now spawn. Let's look at them again. Let's give it the wave. Yeah. Let's make the sprite wave. Let's just actually need to clean this. And let's see if it spawns. Okay, one quicksand, please. There's one. And okay, should they spawn underground? Let's see if that happens. Okay, none here. So basically I just said make these spikes quicksand. And these spikes should spawn in here. Yeah, there it is. Good. Let's place it by hand and then it looks a bit weird in the lighting. Okay, let's change the sprite a bit. Oh god, this is bright. Where is it? There it is. Maybe it shouldn't wave. It looks like shrubs. or dried up twigs or something. But if it doesn't move, that'll make it super hard to see. Where's a good spot here? This is basically impossible. But yeah, but that's definitely better. It shouldn't move. Okay, so in the wet sand, it's okay. At night, it's of course especially bad. Midday, okay. Yeah, that's really hard. Let's add the dash in the middle, or the pixel. Again, that's better. In terms of recognizing it. But it doesn't look like Quicksand. And that's also bad. Wait, what was it? This. I mean, how much worse is it than the spike trap? Where is it here? Yeah, I mean, compared to the spikes basically jump out at you. What if I just make it the same? That doesn't, yeah, that's pretty bad. What about this? Nope. I mean, that's probably the best one. But there might be something better. Maybe it's the direction that's wrong. Oh god. Try this shape. Well, that's a bit difficult. So it turns into a star. Or something more round. If I make it larger. And I've tested this shape. And that's not good. Rotate it. I mean, it's a 3x5. There's no real rotation there. Or am I not getting what you're saying? So this is okay. Maybe if I mean, I could do this. That's also not good. And the way you just did, you're good. Okay. Let's rotate this back around. And I mean, it looks like a whirl. So that's actually fine. Now the color. So it has the problem is it has the wet sand color, like this sand right here. But because it's an object, it's rendered slightly brighter, which brings it completely back into the dry sand range. So it's a weird middle thing. Hey, mostly lurker. How's it going? Didn't see first time, so I had to check. Alright, yeah, no worries. I'm just trying stuff out. Let's remove them here. This one too. Let me change the color to, what is this, beige. And then let's see if that's more easily detected. Where is it? Yeah. So it's easier to see now, so let's make it a bit harder again. And I think that's getting somewhere. Come on. And you still have these slight color difference compared to the ground. Should be super easy to see here. Well, it's not that easy, but I think this could work. So let's go and do the logic. So I started working on the ASCII curse last night. Hey Ray, how's it going? And it's so much work. I have no idea what I'm doing yet for the big bosses. Are we sticking to the ASCII sprites for Rangedrifter? Yeah, for now. Yeah, it's just a better fit for the theme of the game. Although these sprites also work really well. Okay, let's make the Quicksand stun the hero for 1 turn and steal an item. That is in NPC. Turn of the trap. Actually, that's wrong. And stomp. Yeah, that's it. So this is when you walk on a spike, on a web, and on a hole, which is not used in the game. Right now, at least. Check out entities. So let's copy the web. And that says if the entity that is the Quicksand, the entity has the is on flag, then do nothing. Otherwise it changes the appearance of the web, so that's a broken spider web. Then it records it in the world data, so that it doesn't spawn again. And then it gets the entity on top of the trap, excludes some of them, but for everything else it stuns. And if it's the hero, you get a shake. That's what the spider web does. What I need is, I'm not sure, should I exclude something? Probably not. So same thing. Maybe I don't remove the Quicksand. That makes it different from the spider web to go with. So get the entity, stun the entity, and then I want the stealing, and that's in NPC steal. But this is a that's integrated into the attack of the robber. So let's see what the actual code is. So it checks if there's space to place the item. And then it removes a random item. And then it spawns the item on that position. So I can just take this code. I need int I and v to id. And this can only happen if the hero stepped on the quicksand. So let's take this. So this just goes around the hero, and I need, what is P? That is ETP, temporary entity. That's the hero. ETP. What is PI? Gotta work late. I'm so tired. Also, my new podcast keep me awake on our drive home. Glad to be of service. So it goes around the hero in a circle. It checks if there's a valid tile, and it checks that there's not something standing there. And if it found that spot, it sets... Okay, this is all... Yeah, that's just misleading. So I need a P. And then I say P is... That's the position. Come on. That's the hero position plus the movement vector in the direction of the tile around the hero. And I can... Oh, come on. Do this. And this is just the same, so I can just break. And then hopefully there's a check. Yeah. So I need to set this. Or initialize it, and then I check if the vector is the vector of the position is 0, then there's no space, and I can just break out of this whole switch case. I will just copy this over, and then I can close this window. Okay. And yeah, let's just break out of here. That's better. Okay, I have P. I have the position where I can place the item. And then if the hero's bag is empty, or if removing a random integer index from the bag is 0, okay, I need the item, struct item, if that failed, then break. If the item I pulled out of the inventory is 0 for some reason, also break. Finally break time. That's nice, Lily. And So if I have the position and I have the item, then I convert the item to an entity using P and the hero's layer. And then I get can't I just overwrite ET here? Probably. So I create a new entity from the item, put it in the position, and if that fails, I free it again. And that's basically it. Let's see if that works. 473. Okay, let's jump into the test room. And place the traps. Looks like they have height. But is that an illusion? Maybe just in the editor. Yeah. Okay, so I'm stunned. I lost my dagger, lost my food, lost my spear, and it's all on the top, which makes sense because I start at the top. That's not quite right. I mean, this wouldn't matter as much in the game. As there's always stuff around. But I could make this better by shuffling the directions. Okay, if I have nothing left, the game doesn't crash. That's also good. Let's look at shuffling this. Okay, this is gonna hurt my brain, but basically it's pretty simple. I just make a table. Let's just do this here. With 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Actually only 7. So that is north, east, south, west, northwest, southwest, southeast. Other way around. You get the idea. So if I have this table, I can call shuffle. I have a shuffle function. So then that array is shuffled. But I need to, instead of using I need to use table I. Is that enough? Probably. So let's keep the shuffle function there, but the table can go here. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that looks good. All right, let's jump into the coast and see what happens. And they should spawn just as often as the spikes did, which is not too often, but there's one, for example. Here's another quicksand trap. So they are recognizable. Oh. Get back in here. There's another one. That was super visible. And the spike traps, they also take on the color of the ground. So maybe I should do that for the quicksand as well. No potion. Oh, there's a yeah, there's a bug with the stealing, in that sometimes the stolen item lands on top of a ledge that you can't get to. So maybe I should fix that. Because I would have to fix it for this as well. For the quicksand traps. Okay, let's see if I can find a spike trap. There's one. Okay. Let's fix the bug. That's pretty straightforward. So in here, instead of just testing if there's a valid tile in the direction or on the tile that I want to throw the item, I'll have to test the elevation again. And there's the elevation 2. There's the elevation function. So if the absolute elevation difference between the hero position and this new position is greater than the step height, so the height that you can climb over, then that's also not allowed. And the same thing goes for the stealing. Okay. That's E and that's E. Let's test the coast some more. And actually let me, yeah. The quicksand should take on the color of the ground, just like the spikes. So adapt ground color, I'll just add it here. And that's it. Okay. And I'm not sure if the quicksand should be destructible by boulders. I mean, it should probably, the boulder should probably get stuck or something. Any game ideas plaguing you while you've been working on this? You mean things that I want to get to? Or because yeah, but I forget about them every day and then I rediscover them later. But the so the next 2 weeks, well, actually only this week and next week, I'll work on the overworld mostly. So it's little features, but the let me see. I've just written down a couple of dozen for the last couple of days. There are a couple that would make the game a lot better. But they're also a lot of work. Yeah, so one thing is having the well, I'm actually not sure if that's ready yet to be talked about, because I have no idea how I would implement that. But it's basically having having encounters with the lore in the game, kind of. And I'm probably going to remove the robbers and turn them into goblins, something else that's a bit more interesting, because they they don't quite support the lore and the feeling of being on your own. So they will probably go, but there will be other people to meet in encounters, but it's probably going to be in ghost form. But yeah, that's one thing I'm working towards, but the main focus is the world, and that is I'll give it a second pass, the coast region, the coast region, that is, next week, and where so you see all these very straight lines, and they all need to go. So I'll give it a squiggle pass, as I call it, where I go through the world and make everything look more organic, like this. And that'll happen for the coast region. And then what I want is overworld secrets. So you have these secrets underground in the dungeons behind the walls, but I want that on the overworld as well. So that you have holes under boulders that you push, or a staircase that under a table in a hut, things like that. That bring back the discovery aspect of the game, or bring it out more. And yeah, that's the and let me actually look at the to-dos. So until Friday next week, I will do the squiggle pass of the coast. I will finish the last part of the coast with 6 more dungeons, and then I try to add a handful of larger sites in the world, opening up some areas. And then I will see if I can place the monsters again by hand, but that's an insane amount of work. I'm not sure if I can do it in a week, but the system is set up right now that if I place monsters by hand, it won't generate them procedurally there. So I can actually just do it over a couple of weeks. And then that's basically all world. And then I have creating the new trailer, creating the new artwork. That'll just be the current artwork, but it'll be daytime, and it'll be coast themed. And then testing building. That's the plan, and that is more than enough work for the days that I have left, because the on the 21st marks, if I'm not mistaken, I think it marks 3 months So a quarter of a year since the game released. So I want the coast to be done by then. Let me see, there was something else that I wanted to look into, but I don't have time for. Yeah, just some markers that so I have this list of axioms, or what you call it, and I removed, oh god, I can't read it. Well, actually, they are basically, I'll just read the list. Infinitely expandable, each run its own story, the world guides everything. Then I removed 2 of those. Then comes wonder, not excitement. And then comes journey of no return, and the barrier changes everything. So those changed a bit since the Portal Island fiasco. And what I did is I wrote down a list of things that's supported by each of those points, and I will progress from there. So there's a lot, but it's also quite a bit away. But yeah, basically each run its own story is one of the most important ones. It's just that there's enough happening on the path, and there's enough quiet moments, and there's enough world building that you could say I experienced something that was different from the run before. So that was the OG goal, and I'm still adhering to that. But yeah, it's in the work is especially because I have to start work on the next region, which I haven't even thought about which one it'll be. But yeah, I'll do all that after these next couple of days. Where I will sit in the editor and listen to a podcast and change all the stuff that I need to. But yeah, one thing that I remembered again is pets. So it would be pretty cool if you could find or unlock a companion in animal form. But yeah, that raises so many questions that I don't have the time to answer right now. Is it a Rust podcast? Actually, it's DevOps and data science. And how to make mobile games. Okay, so pressing wait near the Quicksand stuns them. Oh, actually, I'm mostly listening to. I've listened to the last couple of podcasts from Lex Friedman. All the ones with historians. Those are pretty awesome. I don't like the, or I'm not interested in the AI or tech stuff that he also does, but all the history episodes are awesome. Okay, where's the disarming game? Disarm traps. Quicksand. Okay, need the coast. So it gave the jackal a lowercase j, but it doesn't look good. So that's sad. Maybe I'll, because the jackal is duplicate with the wolf. So maybe I'll remove the jackal. But that still leaves the bad letter J. Or maybe actually, yeah, I mean, it's mostly bad because it doesn't look anything like a canine. Looks more like a snake or something. Okay, where's my quicksand? There it is. Okay. Okay, disarmed me. So yeah, this is pretty deadly. If you step into these. Yeah. Would be more realistic if it, what am I doing? If it would just suck up the item into the ground, but that's not visual enough. Okay, great spot. Break is over. That's sad. Hope you don't have that much longer work at work, Lily. Okay, so the stuff that I have to do for the last piece of the coast region. Actually go there. Hold on to your bits. So this is all pretty plain, but it's almost done. What I need to do is give it splotches. I just gave it stupid names so I can talk about it. Splotches are fields of a differing color, like this, to break it up. Make it more organic. So that's what I have to do. And then break some of these very long lines. And also add a dungeon or two. Fortunately, my day pretty much just started. Still 6 hours to go. You'll get through it. But yeah, that's a long time. Just trying to I just try to figure out what your time zone is, but I gave up immediately because it's too complicated. And yeah, I also have to decorate the temples, so well, that's just this and this. That's decorated pretty much. Yeah. So maybe what I could look at for a second is the furniture. So as I wrote in the Discord, the @ sign supports a correct perspective view. But all these sprites really don't. Those two baskets do, but the table and the bed doesn't. For example, if I go to the bed here and I change it to something that is top down, you can see how the room comes alive. How it's much more realistic. The door is still bad, but I could change that to a dash. Not for everything, because there's horizontal and vertical doors, but I could do that. The danger is that I don't want to lean too far in one direction, probably. But if I make this... Yeah, so now it's even more realistic. You'd have to guess what a shift I work in, everything. Oh yeah, shift, didn't realize it. Could be the night shift as well. 9 a.m. right now at work. 5 a.m. to 3:30. Okay, that's early. Wow. So this now works much better. The table doesn't, but if I take the table, I think this is the table. Now you can see that this is much more immersive. It's also much harder to know what is what. Maybe if I make though it's not as broken. But yeah. The question is how far do I go in either direction? So no ASCII would have meant going into the complete opposite direction of this. Well, not sure what the right word is. It's not an impression, but it's yeah, it's much more representative. That's what I'm trying to say. This style. The other style is much more symbolic. And the question is what fits the game better. And I think this one fits the game better. Or at least the idea I have of it. It's all pretty hard to explain, and I'm also not sure if any of this makes real sense or is important at all. But I think if I change something so radically, I should have very good reasons. So yeah, this is too much in the other direction. Probably. I like the new bed table. Yeah. The problem is if I have a chest. Where's the chest? There it is. The chest has perspective in it, so it doesn't really work. And from the top, it would just look like the table. If I would go for realism. But what's much cooler is if I give the chest this sprite, then it's immediately clear what it is. Doesn't make much sense, but because with this perspective, it looks like it's turned on its back. But it's much easier to see what it is, even though it's a table, because I changed the wrong sprite. But if this was a chest. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Okay, path is off. Yeah. I don't think the slight perspective break affects the immersion that much. Yeah, so what I'm thinking of with the perspective is having really large complexes of buildings that are intricate and broken. And if you have some form of a anchor to make it a bit more real, I think that helps a lot. But yeah, the other thing is, this is not a realistic game, so I'm not. This is not a simulator. This is not a. This is not a spreadsheet game. So how far, or how many, or what are the gains of the realism other than wrong question. What is how far can I really go in this direction with the perspective correct bed? How far can I really go in that direction when the game is not about realism? Wouldn't the other direction not give me much more a much more fitting set of tools to implement the game? Even if I lose the part of the immersion. It's super weird. Because right now I'm basically in the middle of both of these. To be honest, I like the new bed because I can tell that it's a bed. You never realized it was a bed. Generally just think it's better, not even necessarily because of the perspective correction. The bed, you mean? I mean, it's pretty good. I'm not against it, other than that it doesn't have perspective. So, I mean, the ball doesn't either, but maybe I should actually decide. So the table is front facing, the bed is not. The bed is upwards facing. So it's kind of confusing. The limited sprite size, you just kind of have to work with that, what you have. Perspective is never going to be perfect because of that. Yes. That's absolutely true. So what? Oh, here we are. I think the symbolism works better than accuracy in this case. That's then an argument for the non-ASCII version of the game. So let's try that out again. Actually, let me jump into coast because there's more going on. I think. So I mean, I think 3 people on YouTube said they wanted the ASCII, but I also think they didn't see the whole picture with these sprites. But I mean, I'll definitely keep the ASCII for now, and until I made a final decision. Maybe something happens in the future that makes it necessary to finally decide one way or the other. And yeah. Why are there so many bears and wolves? That doesn't seem right. This is also the unfinished region. That's why it looks so dead. They're zombies at least. And yeah, the sprites don't actually give me that much more options when it comes to monsters. So with the lowercase letters, that's gotten easier. I still could create different sets of monsters entirely for each region, and that would then quadruple the enemies I can create. So the only thing that the sprites really do is that they do away with the ASCII letter limitation, but they bring with it, of course, the sprite limitation, which is a much more meaningful constraint. But Nonetheless, it is 1. I wish I could probably articulate my thoughts right now, but words are failing me. Yeah, I'm also quite at a loss. I think I'm overthinking this quite a lot, but then there are some things I should probably have in the back of my mind, like the perspective. And yeah, I mean, it was good to think about all of this, even if there's no clear conclusion. Because yeah, it will and can inform pretty much any future decision that has to do with the visuals. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, but I'll be going offline, and I'll finish the coast once and for all, and I'll be back tomorrow on stream, and hopefully have the coast done. Yeah, and then as I read out earlier, I'll probably start with the squiggle pass of the coast. The entire coast shouldn't take longer than a full day. But we'll see. Because I tend to destroy the boundaries that I set. These ones, I'll have to repair them. That could take time in some cases. Honestly didn't know about ASCII until your game, and after doing research on it over the past month, I think it would be cool to make a full scope D&D style Baldur's Gate type game in full ASCII. But I must be good for and keep working on Demengard. That would be insane. Yeah, that would be crazy. But it sounds interesting. Alright guys, thanks for watching, thanks for stopping by, really appreciate it, and I will see you tomorrow. Alright, bye guys.